Babble with Ben.
This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation. I wish to acknowledge them as traditional owners. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be participating today. Welcome to the Babble, Caleb Sankey.
Nice to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Hey, now, this is your first time on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Taylor McLeod, your band member in Golden Estates, come on the show before. And so this is your turn. This is your time to shine.
Yeah. About time a drummer gets some.
Have we had a drummer on before? I'll have to check that. I don't think we have.
Good question. There we go.
We had Shannon on. So from Furious George. Yeah.
Oh,
so you're not our first drummer.
Well, second comes right after first.
Exactly.
So Buzz Aldrin once said in The Simpsons. Yeah.
Got to drop that Simpsons reference in there.
Exactly. Always. It's one of the things I'm known for.
Very good. So what's happening with the Golden Estates at the moment?
We're just on a little bit of a short break for just for health reasons within the group. Obviously, we'll spare the details on your show, but Jackson, our singer, he had an operation that he just needed a bit of time to recover from, and also because we were getting a bit stressed about things and not like in the bad way, but just kind of needed a bit of time to sort of unwind and deflate from it all, and sort of just. Because we got a few things to work through as a group, how to get good shows and how to get a turnout and stuff like that, and just sort of a good social media presence, and we just sort of thought we'd need to have a bit of time to just to sort of. Just basically have a mental health break, as you say, in addition to a physical health break for Jackson, and then we'll which we should be regrouping again pretty soon. So that'll be good, and then we can sort of get back into it with a sort of renewed sense of what's the word? A sense of
enthusiasm.
Vigor.
Yes.
Renewed sense of vigor. That's enthusiasm for it after sort of. Okay, having a little bit of a breather, and then jumping back into it again with newfound passion for it again. Sort of start to love it.
Absolutely. It's very good to recognise those signs too, because it's very common for bands to sort of ignore those warning signs, right? And then all of a sudden there's a big blow up.
Exactly,
So it's good that you guys have done that.
So, and Taylor's always mentioning oh man, I want to play, man. I miss playing. I'm like, dude, enjoy the rest while you can. And he's also, but it's been good not to worry about it. And so half the time, it was kind of funny because I during that break I was able to jump on a second project. Very different vibes to Golden Estates, but we had a lot of rehearsals leading up to it and stuff. So I was for a couple of weeks after we decided, to take a break. Ironically, the break, Jackson had the operation the day after our last gig, so that was very clean cut.
Was that in March or was that after that?
I think. Round about March, I think. So April or something.
Because there was one gig I supported you at this year with the Evelyn, I think.
Yes, that was the one.
Yeah. Hey,
and the next day or 2 days later, he had the operation.
Oh wow!
So we literally we couldn't really do anything after that unless we wanted to write an instrumental set. But
which you have done.
Yes, yeah. Well, a better instrumental set. The reception was okay. We could have been a little tighter with that one, but at least the people who came enjoyed it. So, so I was after that I became part of this other project. Actually, another drummer's solo project. His name Will Payne. Shout out to Will Payne if he's watching this.
He better be.
Yeah. He's interested in doing his own sort of podcast like this as well. So I'll be sure to show him this one. But he's he's a drummer in this other band called My Safe Word Is Murder. They're sort of like a heavier Queens of the Stone Age sort of band like that. with a woman lead singer and that sort of stuff. Very very much heavier. So his but in this case, he recorded all the instruments on his debut album and released it and stuff. And he I met him at a house party actually. I don't know if you remember Gabby Crump.
Yes, from Dear Matilda. Yeah.
Yes, and Damon, who's now in Dear Matilda, and the house they're living at the time with, don't know if you remember Josh Nelson, shout out to him well. Yes.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that, at the time they had a house in Heidelberg, and they had a house party, which is where I met him in a rather drunken state because they mentioned my safe words, and they'd gigged with another friend's band called the Nicoteenagers. If you've heard of them,
I do know.
Yes,
them.
They're all Box Hill alumni, and in most of them in my year level. And I said, I know them, and we started chat. Then he saw an Instagram drum video of mine and said, hey, you want to play this gig with me at the Leadbeater? And I was like, sure. So, so half the time, while Taylor's not really doing much. God, I want to play again. I'm doing lots of rehearsals for this gig. I'm like, dude, believe me, enjoy the rest. So, but that was fun as well because they got to play the Leadbeater, which is an awesome venue. I've really wanted to play for a while because I always go there and be like, wow, this is cool, and got there.
It's a bit of a sleeper, the old Leadbeater, because I live near the Leadbeater, and it's gone through a couple of changes. It was Hunchback's Theatre Restaurant for a long time, and then it was the Eureka. But I love how this current incarnation is focusing on live music, and it actually has a really good band room. We did a launch for Suburbia, my dance music project, last year there, and it was great. It was overkill for a duo, but it was great because it was the staff were friendly. We had a good turnout. It was super nice. So I'm a big fan of the Letty, and it's good that you my safe word is murder. You had a gig there, hey?
Oh, and their drummer's solo project, Hellfax.
Oh, Hellfax is the solo project. Yeah,
that's the one.
That's Will's solo project.
He did all the drumming and all the guitars and stuff on the album.
Is Dave Grohling it up, hey?
Pretty much, yeah. And got it. I think I don't remember where I think he had call-outs or something because he knows people who do studios. He did it all himself and all that sort of stuff. And then he just got a couple of guys to play the instruments live because obviously he can't do it all.
So what does he do live if you're the one drumming?
Singing lead.
Yeah.
He's,
so a real Dave Grohl type.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just got two guitarists, a bass player, me, and all that sort of stuff. The bass player just wasn't able to do it after it's his third project, but he knows more, so just depend whoever's available, I suppose. But it's good. I've never been in more than one band before, so it's kind of cool when they all start happening. Like, oh wow, I go from no shows for a while to jumping between them, which should be good. First step towards being one of those people who is in 4 or 5 bands at once. I'm like, how do they do it?
You're a man in demand.
Well, getting there.
Yeah. Look, you're doing really well. Because how many bands? So you've got Golden States, you've got Hellfax,
and that's it at the moment. But it's cool because as well after the gig, Hellfax also taking a break because for a short one because Will's just in a couple of days actually from now he's gone on a holiday for 2 weeks and he didn't want to do anything until after that. So about mid-July we'll start doing things in that sense again. So things will start. Again, after a good break for both bands, they'll start both picking up again at a similar time.
You might even have them on a double bill, hey?
Oh, if the vibes fit, if the boot fits.
Wouldn't that be? Well, it depends. It depends. Are you getting paid for each band, or are you getting one fee for both?
Good question. Good question. I guess that's yet we'll find that out, huh?
Exactly. And so, how else are you spending your time? Because I understand you do some teaching as well. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 days a week. I at a music school in Boronia. I saw a while ago you had James Hood on the show.
Yeah,
sure and I'd actually he's not there at the moment, or he might probably go back. Actually at the same music school as him. In Boronia, Eastern Suburb School of Music, they got they had two schools in Boronia, or two buildings, but they lost one due to COVID and
wow, yeah.
So I mean, thankfully it was a smaller one, so like the bigger main one is still all good, but they've got one in Carrum Downs as well, which I haven't been to because it's a bit out of my way.
Sure is,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, so we, I do that 2 days a week, and it's pretty good because the pay system is designed, like the boss actually from way back, an old Box Hill alumni as well.
Oh,
I'm talking years and years ago. Like
What's their name?
His name's Reese. Reese from I think he was like the first group to graduate from the degree program. Like this was years and years ago.
My friends Angus and James Rickard were alumni from here in the early 2000s. So I thought maybe the name would ring a bell, but yeah,
maybe yeah. They might know each other, but yeah, it was kind of funny. I didn't realize when I responded to a Facebook ad, and that's how I got the job. I had the first student the next day there because he was like desperate, and then I jumped in, and it's and now it's about 4 or 5 years later, going strong. So the pay system is designed is really good because it protects our income. Basically, it's not like if the students pay for a set term or set amount of weeks all at once. So like if they can't make it, depending on their reason, they're the ones that lose the money, not the teacher. Yeah, it's like if if it was sort of like a week to week basis, if someone doesn't show up, then then the teacher's normally out of pocket. But now it's like, well, it's not only does it make them commit, you got to pay for the whole thing, because if you're not committed to that, then don't bother. But then it's also like, well, if they forget or if something comes up, then it's like, well, as I said, I'm not the one missing out. It's like I've still been paid for this time, sort of thing. Or we can, if it's something out of their control, we just decide, well, all right, we'll make it up in the holidays. So it's pretty good for like a nice bank account top up every couple of months for the term.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's essential for music schools to work in that way where you pay for the term up front, right? Because there's, with creative types, there's all sorts of reasons why you might forget or you can't make it, or sometimes you just can't be fucked. But it shouldn't be the teacher's problem. It's definitely your problem, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's I think so. Reese is very on top of all that stuff, and is like and it's cool as well because part of the money that they pay, we give it to him to pay the rent for the school. Yeah. So they keep the school afloat, and it's been a bit of a challenge over the past couple years trying to stay on top of everything with that. Like it had a couple of price rises and stuff like that, and he's very much like all right, if you're not paid by the time I have to pay the rent, then don't ask them back, sort of thing, which and that's good because it's sort of like he would say, weeds out the time wasters. So I do that 2 days a week, and then work a usual standard retail hospo job whenever else I'm rostered on. So
I think that's definitely like what do they call it, a canon event of any creative's career. It's like do a bit of bartending, do a bit of retail. If you're really, really lucky, you get to work in like a music store or you get to work in a music venue. But yeah, there's plenty of times where, I worked in sort of cafes and I worked in, actually I was lucky with one retail job. I got to work for Store DJ who sell music equipment. That was a nice sort of dovetail. But yeah. Sometimes you're working those jobs that have no sort of bearing on your eventual, destination, right? And it can feel, depressing.
A bit disheartening, but it's on the path. Like it's just, while I'm studying a master's of teaching and part time, I'm able to, I guess I've got some kind of aspiration for that. So like, once I am qualified for that, I could get better, more sturdy teaching jobs.
Absolutely,
Because like the problem with instrumental teaching, like the way I do it is like, if I need more hours, I can't just get them. It's like, it's like
you're waiting on the demand, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thankfully, like my days are pretty pretty full when I'm there. But it's just like if I, this isn't quite, got any more? I'm like, well, unless another teacher quits or another or like, that sort of thing, then I can't exactly pick up more days or more hours until the students come in. If student leaves, then it's like, well, you got to wait. Thankfully, though, since COVID, it's actually been like a pretty big boom. Like the demand, like Reese always mentioning to us, particularly we're kind of lucky us drum teachers, like God, he's had to make a waiting list, like of people getting so many inquiries every day, and like just they're rushing in, like he doesn't have enough spots for them all, so they just have to wait until a spot opens up. So it's been pretty good in that sense.
That's very good for Reece. Yeah, it's nice.
And good for us.
It's very nice when what's the word? Yeah, demand outstrips supply. Mm-hmm. Any business wants that. So
it's too bad we don't have the other building still.
Well, COVID was a really rough time for music teachers. I get lessons at a school, BFSM, which is run by Bianca Hopkins. Hey, Bianca. And during COVID, you could just see the worry in everyone's faces because I imagine you went through the same thing sure, you can do the lessons through Zoom, but there's always a latency. Like it's very hard to assess, especially something as finicky as percussion, right? When like someone might be playing perfectly in time, but Zoom delays a note, a beat. And so you're sort of going, I hope that was right. You
nailed it. That it's like in so many cases, it's like sometimes it can work for drums, but like in a lot of the cases I had, I'm like, no, this is terrible. I cannot. This is awful. It's just ridiculous. Like as you say, the latency and like not only that, but like the students with their like not very good quality drum kits and everything. Like they can good for practicing the patterns and stuff, but for actually making a good sound that I can hear, awful. So many, and like thankfully for me, a lot of students decided not to do it. So like it's kind of crazy to think the school sort of came, onto like, was on a defibrillator basically, trying to keep it alive with the number. Like, thankfully the students were willing to come back afterwards, but like, it was just so many were like, no, it's just a complete joke, really. Like, it can't hear anything. Like, like the latency, as you say, I can't hear if they're doing it right. I can't,
because of course you're dealing with like a cheap webcam or a cheap phone or something like that too, with the microphone
and a cheap drum kit probably.
Yeah.
And like, something that's like, play a beat that sounds like this. And I'm like, I couldn't even hear. So not good. But in some cases, some very lucky cases, it could work. It's just like most of the time, it's like, nah, this is ridiculous. What are we doing?
I have some very vivid memories of trying to go to a choir class over Zoom. And of course, it was a disaster because, everyone's got different latencies. And so I remember there was a very surreal moment where I was in a choir class over Zoom and everyone had the mute button on. So it was kind of like we were hearing the teacher, but there was no hearing each other. And look, I understand that this was a very improvised solution in a really, like a crisis, right? But as far as I didn't sign up for it again the next semester, right? Because I'm like, okay, I understand that this is out of your control, right? But it is within my control not to, put myself through this hardship.
Exactly. I'm so glad that I didn't have to deal with a music performance degree during COVID, because I would have dropped out. Like even with my master's classes, it was manageable in most of the time because it's just like lectures and stuff. You just log on and listen. Some cases you can talk and stuff like that, which it worked. But like our teaching placements were delayed and stuff, so that was a bit of a joke as well. Not on their part, but like it just got so stupid. But like, performance classes and stuff, it'd be like, this isn't what anyone's here for, We're here to actually, like, this is what made my time here so great, was being able to, actually socialize in person and like, jam and all that sort of stuff with like-minded people on a daily basis. And to not be able to do that during, in that time, it would just be like, oh, no wonder like a lot of people like, no, I'm out until this is all blown over, and because like performance platform couldn't happen.
No.
It's like what are they going to do? That recitals couldn't happen. What were they going to do?
Recitals kind of happened, but they were very weird. Like the rehearsals were a nightmare.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It'd be like, what everyone had to like, cram rehearsals into with everyone else who was also trying to cram rehearsals in at the same time. And it's like, but like, performance platform, what could you do there? Pre-recorded stuff?
That was what happened.
Yeah.
So people, I remember there was one perf plat where I was like, okay, like they were literally like, just send in a demo from your hard drive and we'll assess, like the recording. And so I'm like, yeah, whilst I appreciate the feedback, right, it's not the linking, it's not getting to know your peers.
Exactly, not the networking, which is one of the main reasons you come to music school in the first place. It's, got a band out of it. Some people get several bands out of it, but when you're not doing that, it can be like, well, even though we've been in this class for a year together, who are you?
Yeah.
But I can imagine theory and stuff would have worked pretty well.
That's what I did. Yeah.
History, like history and stuff, because it's just like they're just your more traditional classes. But like, and even oral to an extent.
Yes.
But like, but I just I kind of find it funny if they had to do like a pre-recorded Viva Voce.
Well, that's what they did. You had to do it in one take. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Because it's just like how do you prove that they did it in one take? It's like someone could do it over and over again right beforehand and then nail it, and then you'll never know. Whereas like here, to like have it known and wait outside the class until we go inside and be like, well, if you haven't practiced, then good luck to you. But that it's like, well, I mean, it would have been unique and interesting, certainly memorable, I'd imagine. But I'm pretty glad to have graduated a fair while before that all happened. So
when did you graduate?
2018.
2018. Ah, yeah.
And then
so well clear of all the disasters.
Then I took a year off in 2019, which I'm like, finally, if I had known, maybe I might have jumped into my master's sooner, but because basically, the years following were pretty much the same sort of thing.
When did you start your master's and where are you studying?
2020.
2020.
At Deakin.
At Deakin.
So I started it in, I think, March 2020. We had a week and a half on campus, and then it all began.
Sure did.
And then it's kind of funny as well. The big one, the 2021, when we finally. I think it happened once again. Before the final big lockdown, we had a week and a half on campus again right before it happened. So it was, I mean, I've decided to go fully online since then because it less time having to commute and stuff. I'm only part-time, so I've only got a few subjects to go. But
it's in Burwood?
Yeah. But I just, do it mostly online now.
Of course,
but so we're just like, oh, really? It's like, and it's the same thing. It's like we're in classes with people for a year, and I'm like, I have no idea who you are. Like, well, I know a few of them, mainly the other music students. Like a lot of them, most of the ones in person when we because I don't remember what the reason was, but like we were able to get the music classes on campus during while the others were online still. So and like most of the there were only like 4 or so in a unit, but we were all whole Box Hill people from different eras, including Dimmy from Golden Estates.
Oh, of course.
So he's finished, but I'm still going. So he's working full time as a music teacher now and loving it. And there's me like, I'm getting there.
How far through your masters are you? Because if you started in 2020, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah, I've gone
part time, so I've got basically two academic subjects left and 2 rounds of placement subjects to go. So four in total.
So maybe by the end of next year you'll be done?
Yeah, by the end of next year.
Yeah.
If depending on how things go. If things, I mean, personally, I'm in no hurry. Like just sort of, taking my time with it all. But if things go well, ideally I'll be done by the end of next year. And then basically my philosophy is get there before I turn 30. When I'm if I turn 30, I'm still not done. I'll be like, oh, what's going on here? But leading up, I'm like, well, yeah, all right. If I can get there before that at that time, so, and then then it's off looking for jobs in a teaching shortage. Hopefully things are a little bit better system-wise by then.
What is the market for teaching jobs like at the moment?
Oh, there's a real shortage of them apparently, because the inside scoop is that like it's not so great for various reasons, like not beyond outside the actual classroom. Like my brother was a teacher and he loved it. He loved the actual classroom bit, but all the other shit that goes on behind the scenes, he just really didn't like it all. And like it really like it all that like bureaucratic stuff. And like so he has taken a new job at the teachers union to try to improve all that stuff. And like it's hard because like he says a lot of the people there very much like status quo sort of thing, like they want don't want to change too much, but like, well, what are you then? It's kind of like people he's likened it to political people who follow political parties, like their sports teams, in the sense that it's like, we voted the Liberals out, yay, we won. It's like, well, but what are you actually going to do differently? Well, doesn't matter because the other party's gone. And it's like, well, and that's sort of like that, he's like trying to make changes. Like he spearheaded a campaign of having just pre-service teachers be paid on their placements, which I'm hoping by next year is sorted, because like it can be very difficult when you have to go on a 5-week long placement with no pay for
income. Yeah.
So like somehow people manage it, but he's like spearheading that sort of thing, like but yeah, it's a bit difficult, but I guess I hear that like the actual teaching part of it is very rewarding. So, and the placements I've been on were very rewarding as well. It was kind of nice. It was like the long one I went on about 2 years ago now. The first few weeks were online still, which was manageable because it's like just your typical classroom. The teacher talks and like the students listen and like all that sort of stuff. But like about the third week we're on campus, and I rock up at the time that we're learning about rock drum beats. So in the first first lesson on campus, I got a pair of drumsticks in my hand. I'm like, I could get paid for this. But yeah, that was kind of a bit rejuvenating after the academic stuff can be a bit soul crushing at times, but
definitely.
But, yeah, that's about the size of it.
My mother had a very similar experience because she was a primary school teacher, and she found the teaching of the kids was very rewarding, but there is definitely like the bureaucracy. And one thing in particular she was always found very unfair was that quite often when you start off as a teacher, you are just put on contracts term by term or semester by semester, right? So where once, you were put on and you would get paid for the holidays, when she was doing it, she was like, yep, at the end of every year, you stop getting paid when school stops in December, and then you had to reapply for your job the next year. And so if you're getting paid, like surgeon rates for that, then maybe you'd do it. But my understanding is that, a teacher's wage, whilst a good one, like it would be sort of demeaning to have to apply for your job, which you've been doing for years, year after year, like justifying your existence.
I think it's a bit different now in the sense that teachers are salaried for the whole year. So like I think it depends on the type of job that I've seen and heard of things like that where you on a term by term contract and stuff, which can be a bit like but like you get a full time job and it's like you're salaried as Dimmy's told me that, and like you on a salary for the whole year, so it's like manageable. But yeah, that sort of stuff can be a bit like I don't really know what it was like years ago, but it's kind of my late grandfather was able to make a pretty good living as a primary school teacher and later principal back in the 70s, 80s. A bit before I was born, actually, he retired. But yeah, he really loved it. So that it's all depends on, I guess, the nature of the job and the person and stuff like that. So ideally, I'd love to teach in a place like Box Hill one day. Be like, because shout out to Mario who just retired. He'd always say that like his old students would come through here and then get jobs as teachers here while he was still here. Like Simon, the head of guitar, was an old Box Hill student of his back in the day, and like I don't know if you know Ash Smith, the head bass teacher. He was a student way back in the early 90s here, and then like came through, and then now is a teacher here. And there's so many of them that he'd always mention, like all that sort of stuff. It'd be nice to have have that sort of history with the place I work at. But yeah, one day maybe even just a sessional. But yeah, so like it's lots of stuff going on, and I guess happening. A lot of things to look forward to. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I'd like to do a big shout out to Mario Latuada too.
Yes,
actually,
exactly.
He's just a great teacher, and I remember going through one of the oral books here and seeing the copyright in like the early 90s, and then seeing Mario's name there, and I'm like, wow, you really have been here for a long time. And so, yeah, I know I did see him around campus earlier this year. I think he's not 100% retired. I think he had a year off, definitely, and I think he enjoyed that year off. But
he probably did what my dad's doing right now, same age. Also from Box Hill in the Elgar campus, the catering manager. My dad was the one who got us the liquor license for the bar here.
What's your dad's name?
Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah,
big fan of that liquor license. Yeah.
Thanks to basically he's the one that bent over backwards to get the liquor license for the venue.
In Box Hill, tricky.
So like he it got it happened, and he was like, but basically he's done. My dad's done the same thing where he's taken all his sick leave for the rest of this year, and then will officially retire at the end of the year. So Mario, I think, sounds like, I think, as I saw him at a gig where he's playing with Winfield Road Experiment, another old student of here. Shout out to Jake Underwood if he's watching. He was playing classical guitar alongside them, and he said that taking service leave, then gone to like 1 day a week, and then slowly phase out. But yeah, it would be definitely be different around here, I'd imagine, because like my improv and rhythm section classes with him were always very, very fun. Like have like a little running gag of how long it would take before Mario picks up a guitar himself to play. Like he's like, "Can I have a go?" And I'd be like, 15 minutes. There's like a little joke with that, and which is always a lot of fun. But yeah, so. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Interesting to think like, well, Simon's now the boss of this whole place, and like he was once in our shoes, Mario also said once as well that like they offered him that job, but he said, no, I don't want it. I just want to be a guitar teacher. So like there'd be like a proud dad moment, we always said, like think, wow, Simon's my boss, but like Simon might still think that look up to Mario as like his teacher still in some kind of way maybe, and be like, well, the only reason you're not in my position is because you don't want it. So respect to that. But yeah, it's definitely it was, my time here is definitely the more memorable times of my life. It wasn't always positive, but I look back on it all positively now. So
through the crucible, hey? Yeah. Well, look, it sounds like you're well on your way to being a Mario-like figure to some of your students in the future. So
I'd like to be. I'd hope to be.
Well, you've got a good role model there, so that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up here, Caleb.
All right.
I guess, if people want to hear your stuff, if people want to hear you playing, where can they hear you?
Probably on, we've got a few demos on Golden Estate's YouTube channel.
Yes.
So we can, some old, some videos from our old shows. We haven't recorded anything yet, so we'll wait till Jackson's better, so we can all do it all at once.
I think I have some footage from some of the shows I supported you at that's
Yeah.
overdue to come out. So we'll
That's right.
get on that.
Yes, we'll release that in a timely fashion when, like, you know, and but we might, without saying too much, you could probably, if you keep a few dates in August free or a day in August free, then might be able to catch us somewhere.
Fantastic. And Hellfax is the other. Is there much out for that yet? Or?
Well, there's the album is out, but it's not me playing on it.
Of course.
It's like it's all Will. He's doing it all himself. So like I basically I recreate most of what he did in the live show. But I think maybe sometime late July or August as well. We'll I think Will's talked about wanting, because he's from Macedon area, he's wanting to do some shows up there and chill out in his and entice us by saying, hey, you want to just chill out in my mum's jacuzzi for a bit while we're up there. So like, you know, my first ever regional shows, whenever they might be, and a jacuzzi sounds good to me.
That sounds like a good deal to me too.
Yes.
Very good. Well, thanks
yes.
again for coming on.
Oh, no problem. It's nice just to have a chat, huh?
Too easy.